Well, greetings gamers. This is Dr. Ayleen, the Gaming Doc, and this is your place and your space to come in, chat, chill out, have a laugh, have a thought, have a moment, have a breath. Take a breath, because sometimes we just do need to take a breath. And I hope that everyone's doing well. I hope you're having a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, or night, wherever you're at, whatever you're doing. And today is Tuesday. So yesterday we talked about, what we wanted to be motivated to do and to think about that. Oh, and I forgot to change the little thing at the bottom. Okay, let's fix that. See, there's always something. I have to put, I have to put like notes for myself because, hey, I'm old. I forget things. But, doop. All right, that's fixed. Welcome to Tuesday. Yes, it says make it happen Monday on that. We pretend that didn't happen. And I choose not to let that be something that is like, I forgot something else. Because sometimes it's about choosing to let go of the little stuff, to let go of the little mistakes. Yes, I forgot to update that one thing, but there were plenty of other things that I did remember. So in the average, it's not so bad. Heck, it might be a nice conversation piece. So it is nice to be able to just come in and hang out with you guys this morning. And yesterday I worked on my hair, which is something that happens about every 3 to 4 months. I do like a major hair treatment, and it's like, well, wow, doing your hair. But that was one of my big goals for the week, was to because my hair is kind of long and it does take a little bit of time to go through when I'm doing it myself. Lord Meteora! Folks, welcome to, one of the busiest guys outside of Hollywood, Lord Meteora, who not only, has a wonderful crafting stream, but also is out there meeting and greeting the people and hanging out. And so please go give his channel some love, because he is out there doing the things. He's out there at cons and meeting people and showing off his amazing craft work. So hit up his Discord, find out where he's going to be, and if he's going to be in your area, go over and give him a great big old hi from me. Lord Meteora, how are you, my friend? How are you doing? The world must be, just like, just did another sellout. Yes, fist bump. Awesome. Where were you at? Inquiring minds want to know. Sold everything at this last con. Yes. Oh my gosh, that is such good news. San Antonio. Oh man, that must have been a blast. It must have been just like, I mean, Lord Meteora like epitomizes the phrase, the only place where success comes before work is the dictionary. This dude works hard. And, I'm so happy for you seeing, all the, because that must have been amazing. That must have been just so amazing. And, yes. Man, you hit the week running and folks come in with amazing good news. Oh my gosh. Of course, I'd be willing to bet you were probably on your feet almost all the time. So that must have been a heck of a weekend, because I would guess that you did not get a whole lot of rest. So hopefully now that it's over, you'll have a little bit of break time, but I know you probably have another one coming up. So please let us, say in the chat where you're going to be, what your next con's going to be, and dates and everything. Inquiring minds want to know, and I want everybody to know where you're going to be at. And really, when you have something that you just grab with both hands and you make a point of making something happen. You know, I mean, that doesn't happen by accident. That's choice. You choose, and like a whole mess of choices lead up to either every success or every, well, not so much of a success. And even when things don't work out, it's very much, you know, there's a lot of it that's choice. 80% of the time for sure. Monday, I slept all day. Yes. Alrighty, so Lord Meteora is going to be in Central City, Florida, Comic-Con, June 12th to 13th. Anybody in that area, please, please, please go over there and, you know, say hi. And I mean, and I'm sure it'll be a great day anyway, you know, and it'll be amazing. But, you know, the best reason to go is to go and check out Lord Meteora. Good day, dear friend. Nurse Taz is in the house, which gives me a wonderful reason to go. Hello, nurse. How are you doing, my dear? In Lakeland, Florida. All right, Lakeland, Florida. Do it, folks. Oh, hey, if anybody in Florida is out there, out in that area, please go over and say hi. And so I am hoping that you are doing quite well today, Nurse Taz, you and that amazing, wonderful family of yours. And, you know, folks, Nurse Taz, stressed, rough night. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Oh, sweetie. You know, work, home, or whichever. I hope that it's a better day. And I'm sorry if it was a rough night. And, you know, folks, Nurse Taz is the, yeah, I hear you. You know, because Nurse Taz isn't just Nurse Taz, you know, online. Nurse Taz is a nurse, which means major honor, major love, major appreciation. Doctors, lol. Well, you know, I have seen the enemy and it is us. You know, it's, yeah, some of us are kind of, yeah. On behalf of doctors, I'm sorry. I really am. Oh, my dear. But, you know, hey, folks, you know, if anybody, and I would be willing to bet either almost everybody has either had the need to be in a hospital or be taken care of by a nurse, or, you know, just, or had a loved one. And I mean, there's a reason why, you know, in the olden days, you know, back in the day, nurses used to be called angels of mercy. And I wish that phrase would come back, because they never stopped being it. And, you know, absolutely much love and much appreciation to the ones who, you know, when you hit that little button, they're the ones who come and see what's wrong and make sure you're okay. And you're not the only one they're doing that for. So, you know, absolute love. And the other amazing, wonderful thing about Nurse Taz is she is the partner in crime and loving spouse of the amazing Gaming with Kentucky and JD, who is absolutely, you know, he has just an absolutely awesome stream. And Nurse Taz gets in there with it every once in a while, so that's always fun. Angel of Mercy now takes on a whole new meaning with doctors and nurses. Yeah. I mean, you know, when you've got folks, especially those, you know, for everybody, it's like, you know, Infamous J.O. Oh my gosh, Infamous J.O. in the house. And who is an absolutely, you know, I keep calling him my Obi-Wan Kenobi of Don't Starve, who I've learned so much from watching the game. And, you know, being able to, you know, and your mom is a nurse. Oh, major, major respect. You know, not in a good light. What's up, Infamous? You know, it is so, you know, touching when, you know, when you see, you know, like, you know, I've spent a lot of times hanging around hospitals because, you know, I had family with a lot of issues. And, you know, when you're sitting in the hallway and you see a nurse come out of a room and take that breath and, you know, like kind of have to pull themselves together. I mean, that is like the most amazing thing, because they're there all the time. And, you know, they come out and there may be something touching their hearts, but they know they've got like 100 other people who are going to need them before that night is over. And they've got to pull it together, and they've got to hold it together. And that is, I mean, hey, that is something that goes beyond just normal. That's not, you know, what your average person gives or what your average person does. And that is just amazing to me. And, you know, as having been someone who's done that in like short spurts, but to do that for a career, that takes a special kind of person. That takes a special kind of angel inside. And believe me, that angel ain't some little, you know, fairy wings. That is one who is like wearing, you know, military boots and, you know, has got their pack on and going, all right, let's do this. So, you know, the strength, that sums my night. Yeah. And it's easy for patients to think that they're the only one that you have to take care of. And, you know, to remember, I mean, there have been times that I've been in the hospital. I've had like 5 surgeries. And every time it was like, you know what? You know, be very nice to the nurse, because they're the ones who are going to be on the other end of that button when I press it if I need something. And I don't press it unless I really, really need something. So, you know, it's, you know, I never understood people who were impatient with nurses and impatient with their wait staff, because you don't want to aggravate the person who is taking care of you. So, you know, it's, you know, much love, Nurse Taz. Much, much, much love. And, you know, and the fact that, you know, I mean, with that amazing but pretty big family you've got, it's like, you know, you spend your career working to take care of folks, and then you come home and take care of all kind of folks. And, you know, it's you and JD, you know, I mean, I have such huge respect for you guys, that you are, you know, because for anybody who doesn't know it, Nurse Taz and JD have an amazing, beautiful family. And, you know, they brought children into their home and love them. And that is like, you know, and you don't get any time off. I'm telling you, Nurse Taz, if I ever win the lottery big, you and JD are going on a vacation. I am going to, and I will make sure the family's all fine, you know, but you two are going to go somewhere all by yourselves. I'm telling you, I win that big lottery, we got it. That, and everybody's going to TwitchCon on me. Aw, that's so sweet. Yep, I will even personally babysit your entire family while you guys are off on a vacation. And I promise you will have as many kids when you get back as you had when you left. You know, gaming with Kentucky and JD. Speaking of the partner in crime, the amazing matched set, the salt shaker to the pepper shaker, JD, who's gonna babysit me? Oh, no, you're going on the vacation. And, you know, I told Nurse Taz that, you know, I'm gonna, if I ever win that big lottery, I'm sending the both of you on a vacation. I will personally watch your kids. Oh Lord, you will regret that. Oh, no. Well, you know, I don't know who will have it easier, me or you with JD. But, you know, if anybody deserves to have like a massive vacation, it's you guys. Us. You know, and it really is, when you think about the choices that some people make. and that some people make choices, they choose to dedicate their life to helping other people be okay. And whether that's through being a first responder, whether that's through being in the military, whether that's through being, a nurse or a doctor, the non-aggravating ones, or, but whatever. I mean, even if it's that you clean the streets, that you're a sanitation worker, or you help fill potholes, or whatever it is, even if it's being a cashier behind the counter in a grocery store, you are vital. And the fact that you choose to deal with the mass public and take care of them and make sure they're okay. I mean, customer service, yeah. It's important for people to appreciate those who choose to work in service, to have their work be service to others. And I think that is probably one of the most amazing choices that people can make. Now, does it have to be for a career? No. We can make a choice to make someone else's day, even if it's one other person's day, better, just by an encouraging word, just by saying, hey, that color looks really great on you, or wow, I really appreciate your service, or like if somebody is either a cashier or a first responder or whoever, I always say thank you for being essential. And I know everybody was saying it at first, but I think that after a while people kind of forgot that, yeah, these people are still essential. These people still have to be out there putting themselves at risk. And while, yes, some can say it's like, well, it's their job. Yeah. And, maybe they're in a situation where they have to do that job, but it doesn't make it less essential. It doesn't mean that, well, they have to do it. And it's like, well, but they're doing it. They're not walking away. And that can be some of the most powerful choice that we have, is how do we choose to walk in this world? And what I mean by that is, how do we choose to be with other people? How do we choose to, either make life better or make life worse for someone, who really is at a crossing point? And, when I go into streams and, as JD has always said, you don't go into a stream for the game, you go in for the streamer. And, seeing how different people who are going through all kinds of stuff, and I mean, some of them are going through some heavy stuff, and the fact that they will just say, it's like, you know what, forget it, I'm going to be on here, I'm going to be streaming, I'm going to be taking care of other folks. And that is very cool. That is neat. Now, I also encourage them to make sure that they do take care of themselves, because if we don't take care of ourselves, if we don't choose to take care of ourselves, then what happens is it reduces our ability to take care of others. And that can be a very difficult choice sometimes, to put ourselves first. I mean, yeah, there are some folks who apparently seem to have a very easy time with it. And the thing is that for the most part, most people do have a hard time putting themselves first. I mean, how many people would not take a day off unless they're sick, unless they have to take a day off until their system says, you know what, forget it, you are just going to be sick. And that's the only time that they take off. They never, it's like, you know what, I'm going to just take a couple of days and go with that, because it's like, well, no, I've got other things to do, I've got people depending on me. And believe me, I was the queen of that. I was the absolute reigning queen of put everybody else before what I need, because I have to take care of all kinds of people. And I finally had to admit myself to myself that was a bunch of ego-driven nonsense. Yes, I was helpful to a lot of people. Yes, I was able to support a lot of people. And yes, they were perfectly able to take care of themselves. I made it a little bit easier, but they were capable of it. And what I also had to point out to myself You know, if you are constantly running around and, you know, being that safety net and always being there and, you know, being the mom. Ikafer! Oh my God, thank you for the follow. Okay, it is June, and thank you so much. All right, so I decided that for June we're gonna do a thing, and so if somebody gives a bit, I would have one of the flaming fiery Bean Boozle beans, and if I got a follow, I'd have 2, and if I got a sub, I had 3. It's Lauren! Lauren from CCL! Oh my God! Hi! How are you? Oh my gosh! Okay, so these are now, I'm fairly tolerant of heat. So we're just going to, let's see. I'm going to close my eyes. We're going to take one randomly. Okay, what have we got? We've got jalapeno. And you will see me with an ulcer. Okay, so jalapeno for, oh no, a follow was 2. All right. Okay, so what have we got? We've got jalapeno and habanero. Alrighty, guys. I've never tried these before, so this is the first time I'm doing this. Spicy like me. He's a one spicy meatball. All right, here we go. Together. Okay. Now, the interesting part is that when you first bite, there's nothing. And I'm doing this as a sacrifice because this counts towards my carbs. But okay. That's got some spice to it. Okay. All right. Okay, that's a thing. Woo! I mean, and I like spice. I've got a pretty high tolerance, but whew, yeah. Oh, it's going to be a fun month. Now for July, I'm doing the ones that are like gross flavored, but ooh. Wow. Okay. It's getting hot in here. Okay. I think they threw a little bit of extra stuff on that. Wow. Okay. Here we go. But thank you so much for the follow. Lauren, it's so good. You know, it's so rare that I end up seeing people who I actually know. Up until now, there was only one person who I knew on Twitch who I actually knew in person. But, oh, Lauren, it's so cool. But, you're doing better than me. Habanero has a big bite. It does. It's like, wow. Okay. We got this. So for bits, hydrate. Well, I can't hydrate yet. Well, actually, though, the tea is hot. Ooh, hot tea on top of here to help. I know. I'm impressed. Took it like a champ. Yeah, but I'm sweating. Oh, oh, and because it's sticky, it gets stuck in your teeth. It just sits there. Okay. All right. Yay! Oh, you can do the thing. It's like how many times I say, okay, okay. Oh, goodness. That's, oh, and it's not done. Okay, it's not done. It was starting to subside, and then it's like, oh, there we are. Because when air moves past it, it's like it's almost like, you know, blowing air on a fire or something. It's fascinating how chemically it does that. Oh yes, it did it again. Okay. Anyway, all the nerves. Oh, and then it gets into the throat. It's in the throat. Okay. No, we're going to do this. We're going to do this all month. So, anyway, for bits, it's 1. For follow, it's 2. And for a subscription, it's 3. SMH. Yep. Oh, wow. That's tingly. Anyway, what we were talking about, the whole idea is, I mean, I'm almost afraid to drink the tea because the tea is hot. So, but then maybe it'll counteract it. I'm not sure, but right now we're just going to let it sit with this because it's like, okay, if I throw hot liquid on top of it, what's going to happen? So, anyway, choice. Yes, choice. I choose. I chose to do this. So, and it's for the fun of it. It's for the, it's for, well, whatever. Just for the fun of it. And sometimes we can choose stuff that's just for the fun of it. Just because. And there is Luna. Hey, Luna. Mommy just did something really silly. But, you know, we can choose to take care of ourselves. We can choose to take care of others, and making sure that, you know, there's balance, that we, you know, because there's a lot of things. I mean, you could go out and look around. Hope Luna doesn't need a bean. Well, no, because she's smarter than that. She would probably be a lot smarter than that. And if she did, it would be an accident. She wouldn't do it on purpose. But it is, you know, when we decide that we matter at least as much as other people in our lives. And it doesn't mean that we become narcissistic or whatever. It just means that we realize that we've got a lot to do. And in order to do that, we have to be in the best shape mentally, physically, emotionally that we can. The more we give, the more we need to be able to take care of ourselves. And, you know, I had to go into that place of acknowledging that, you know what, maybe the world could just manage to continue, you know, revolving without me for just a couple of days. That I didn't have to be on call all the time. That I could turn my phone off. I mean, that was like a huge thing for me. I reached a point where I made it a rule that at 9 o'clock I would turn my phone off, like completely off. And I tried doing that for a week. And it was, the first couple of days were just torture. Almost as, not quite as much as that, but, you know, it was bad. This is going to be interesting. And those weren't even the hottest ones. There is a Carolina Reaper one. So, yeah. So it's like trying to focus on what I'm saying, but it's subsiding now. We're okay. I think I can sip some. Oh, that made it come back a little bit. Okay, but not a lot. It came back a little bit. But anyway, when we are able to accept that other people can manage without us to a great degree. I mean, not if you have small kids or you have somebody who depends on you. You got ulcer one, and then there's a bleeding ulcer one. Oh, yeah. I mean, and like I said, I am a fan of spice. I don't normally have an issue with it. It's just like, this has like that, you know, they intentionally intensify it. So this wouldn't be like a normal pepper. This is like, oh, we're going to make this painful. So, you know, it is a thing. And it is a choice. But being able to say that it's okay for me to take care of me. It's okay for me to step back from, because sometimes we all need to take a step back from all the stuff so that we can regroup. And that is a choice. And while we can't always choose to do it whenever we feel like it, you know, because, yeah, sometimes we need to, you know, there's stuff we absolutely have to do. You know, if you're a parent and your kids need you, yeah, that takes priority. And I remember what that was like. And, you know, as they get older, you know, it's the work of a parent is to realize, okay, here's the points when I do need to step back, so that the kids can start, you know, feeling a little more self-reliant. You know, I taught my kids at an early age, it's like, okay, we're going to learn how to do laundry. And so they learned how to do their own laundry, because when I was young, I was taught how to do my own laundry. Now, looking back, it was probably because my mother had 4 of us, all born 1 year apart. I mean, like 1 year after another, 4 of us were born. And it was, you know, there was always laundry. You know, for those of you who have big families, you know what I'm talking about. So it was that, no, you need to learn how to do your own laundry. You need to learn how to cook. You need to learn how to do all these things. And the way we viewed it was, wow, this is, you know, I mean, we felt good about ourselves because we learned to take responsibility for things in our lives, which helped my mom. Heck yeah. I mean, it's like the laundry is never ending. I need stock in Tide. In Tide and Kenmore. You know, it's, and when, you know, when you have an opportunity to be able to encourage someone to be able to choose, it's like, you know, when we, you know, during the summers, we had to each cook 1 meal a week. And we got to, you know, we picked what we wanted to cook. We had to get the, I mean, I don't know how many of you remember, there used to be these card files, and they were like either orange or green or yellow. And inside were these big laminated cards that had recipes on them. And you would, it would have everything you needed. It had like the shopping list. It had like a color coding for how difficult it was. And so you ordered them. I think it was it Betty Crocker? It might have been Betty Crocker. Anyway, it was very popular like back in the 60s and the early 70s. And so it actually did make shopping easier. Because, you know, you had this card and you took your card to the grocery store and the card told you everything you needed to buy, and then it had all of the instructions and, you know, and all of that stuff. So, you know, but we had to do that. And that was one of our responsibilities. And I am a strong proponent of kids gaining responsibilities. And, you know, I mean, it doesn't mean like, you know, okay, you've got to go and wash the car and you're only, you know, like 4 years old. But even at a young age, children can learn responsibilities. They can learn to feel proud of doing something. And, you know, by choosing to help someone, you know, feel empowered, what you're doing is you're giving them the ability to choose. Because a part of feeling like it's okay to choose something is it's an empowerment thing. You know, we want to feel empowered by having choice. Choice and empowerment can definitely go together. The more choice we have, the more empowered we can feel. And the less choice we're given, the less empowered we feel. So when you think about the things that you'd like to choose, that you want to choose, and why you want to choose them, and, you know, who does it serve? Because even something that serves yourself serves other people, because it allows you to be able to say, you know what, you know, I need to regroup, but I can do that and then come back and be stronger and, you know, have a good time. Okay, back to normal now. But being able to feel comfortable choosing, and I know that there, I mean, in dealing even with people, it's like, so what do you want to eat? Well, I don't know. What do you want to eat? I mean, how often is that the scenario when, when people are out together, or when people are, it's like, well, I don't know, what do you want? And that is something that it's almost, I mean, it's almost reflex for some folks to immediately defer. It's like, well, what would you like? Well, I don't know, what do you want? And, it's like, well, I'm trying to be friendly. I'm trying to be obliging, especially in relationships. It's like, oh, well, I want them to feel special, so I'm letting them choose. It's like, well, no, because if somebody asks you a question, what do you want to do, or what would you like? And it's immediately passed back. It's like, well, no, I was asking you, what were you interested in? What would you like for dinner? It's my oldest son and I, every Sunday we would get together and we would food. But the thing is, whoever paid, the other person had to choose. And frankly, we both decided that we preferred to pay because neither one of us wanted the responsibility of choosing. And we finally realized, like, this is ridiculous. We're going to barbecue. I'm going to get barbecue. We're going to barbecue. And he's like, okay, cool with me. So the idea that, it does make life easier in some ways when other people choose, when somebody else makes the decision, and then we just follow with it. And it's important to be able to have that, that ability and that comfort with going, no, I don't like that. I want to do this. And it doesn't mean that people are, going to be mad at you, or, I mean, if they are, then that's kind of their problem. If somebody asks you, well, what would you like for dinner? And you tell them and they're like, well, I don't want that. It's like, well, you asked me what I wanted. Now we discuss it. So being able to be comfortable with choice, to not feel that, well, if I say what it is that I want, then somebody's going to get offended. Or, and that comes down to a very important thing that we need to be able to do, which is speak our truth. And often people will say, it's like, well, I can't speak my truth because other people will get mad, or I'll hurt somebody's feelings. Speaking truth doesn't have to be hurtful. It can be said in a very loving way. You can tell somebody that something they absolutely don't want to hear, and yet have it be well received in how you say it. It's not what we say, it's how we say it. And, I feel message. Yeah, it's important, and it's something without you said. Yep. Yeah, it is that, what, this particular event, when this happens, I feel this. And maybe it's telling someone that they have something very unhealthy happening with them that is self-destructive. And, it's sort of like that idea of, an intervention where it's like, no, this is how your behavior is affecting me. And when, if somebody has, and I've dealt with my fair share of that, where it was, sitting down and helping someone to tell someone they love that what they're doing is hurtful. And it's hurtful not only to that person, but to, to the family member who loves them. It's like, this is not okay. This is not healthy. And, this cannot, this isn't going to go. I have to set a boundary here. And setting boundaries can be really hard, because, there's that thing where sometimes people feel they have to justify the boundary. Technically, you don't have to justify a boundary. No and no thank you is a polite, complete answer. If, I mean, it could be something as simple as, hey, you want to go somewhere. And if the person says, well, you know what? Not this time. Thanks. It's followed by, it's like, well, why not? And then the person has this like, well, it's like, because you don't feel like it, because you don't want to, because, there's a really cool show you want to watch. you know, we don't have to justify that. And being able to understand that no thank you is a polite, complete answer. And, you know, and there is that. And often when people are dealing with making choices, that idea that, well, no, you've got to justify your choice to me because I disagree with it. It's like, well, you disagreeing with my choice does not require me to explain it to you. I can if I want to, if I feel so inclined to, but you don't have to explain your choice to someone. I mean, you know, technically, like if you're in a relationship and, you know, you want a future for that relationship, yes, it would be a good idea that if something came up and it's like, hey, you know, we've been invited to, you know, so-and-so's house, and the person, no, I don't want to go. There is that, it's like, well, why not? And, you know, and depending on the relationship, it's like, well, yeah, you know, you would want to be able to explain it and say, well, you know what, I'm really feeling tired. You know, I don't think I want to go. And it's like, well, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. And, or, Osteria! Yay! Osteria in the house! I hope you're having a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, or night. I hope you're doing really great. I hope that, you know, the world is being gentle with you, and I hope you're just having some fun. And thank you so much for being here. It's so good to see your name. I always say that. It's like, well, it's so good to see your name. Hey, you missed it. We have started for June. Whenever I get a bit, a follow, or a sub, I will be eating a number of these, and I did 2 earlier for a follow, and it was like, that was interesting. I mean, I'm used to, like, you know, peppers and stuff like that, but see, when they're chemically enhanced to be that much hotter, it's like, okay, that's a whole new thing. But I think we are all doing well, and, you know, and it is, you know, when we, not too good today, oh, much politics happening here, but politics are politics. I'm good generally, though. Well, I'm glad that generally you're good. I'm sorry that there are politics. That's almost, it's rough, sweetie, and I'm so sorry. I mean, I hope that, you know, you can get a break from that, and that you can just have a nice day where all you have to do is notice what shape the clouds are in. That's the biggest news of your day. But I hope things improve. I hope they get better. And, you know, we're talking about choice and how our choices can affect our lives, and what kind of motivates the choices that we make. And sometimes it's other people. Sometimes it's what's going on. And, you know, and Osteria brings up a great point, that sometimes, you know, it's like, okay, we're doing okay, but everything else around us is kind of like, you know, going to heck in a handbasket. You know, that can affect us. If the cloud looks like a government official, seek help. Well, now, politics are quite intense. I would even add word treason there, so it's kind of moment where you can't take a rest. Oh, sweetie, I am so sorry. You know, so I hope that things settle down. And I know that, you know, there is so much, and, you know, and there's so much that, like, you know, all of us regular folks, we simply bear witness to it. It's so hard when we don't feel we've got, like, a direct voice. It's like, you know what, if it were possible for us to all walk in and say, you know what, y'all need to behave yourselves, you need to start doing your job right, we're going to make sure you do your job right. But really, the truth is that we don't have that. So, you know, there is that sense of, in some cases, a certain level of helplessness, because, you know, it's like, you just think that people would do the sensible thing, or they would do the right thing. But unfortunately, that's not the case. That's not their choice. And choice can get tricky when we have to live with the choices that other people make, and we don't have a say in it. We don't have the ability to say, you know, well, you know, you need to change, you need to be better. Oh, okay, well, we'll be better. Wouldn't that be a wonderful world if we could just like en masse just walk into whatever government group, and for those who are not behaving themselves, it's like, hey, behave yourself, and they go, oh, okay. But unfortunately, you know, there are those, but you know, and JD makes a great point that, you know, there are those who fight. I mean, and it may seem like they're not strong enough, or their voices aren't strong enough, but there are people who are in it because they do care, because they hold that honorably, and encouraging them as much as possible. I mean, we can't change the ones who are acting all, you know, irresponsibly, and we can help encourage the ones who are. But, you know, I know that there's a lot of places where that gets very intense. It's not just is like, oh, well, I'm going to write my congressman or whatever. It's that, you know, there are political bodies that do very bad things to people who oppose them, and it's rough. And I am absolutely praying and keeping every good thought possible, Hysteria, that things calm down, you know, where you're at, so that you can relax and that you can rest a little bit. And, you know, it really is, you know, choice, you know, because we were talking about how the more choice we have, the more empowered we feel. And it's really easy to stop feeling empowered when you feel you have no choice, when your voice is not heard, when, you know, you don't have a say in what's going on. And that can be really hard. So, you know, I wish that for you. Harm or bad of harm is just more visible because it gets the attention. Yeah, and somebody's doing good, but there is good in everything, even in government. Yeah, well, there's light and shadow in everything, and in everyone. So, you know, there is focusing on the things that, yeah, that'll work, or you know, the things that are going into that good direction, and trying to nurture that as much as possible, to support that as much as possible. And yeah, you know, when we reach that point where it's like overwhelming, taking a step back, shutting off the news for a little bit, even if it's for like an afternoon, and then just sitting and breathing, or sitting and listening to music that's gentle, or watching your favorite old comedy. And, you know, often, you know, there's a saying that people will often find what they look for. So, yeah, here is much good in the politics, and have been a long time, but now our government feels mostly traitors now. EU Parliament drives their madness to make EU federal union economically, military-wise. And now it's economical part going on, and it feels so stupid that once the country's independence was not even taken by the Soviet Union, and our grandparents dealt with the threat from outside, but now that independence is close to be lost by our own government and our own union, and not by guns, but by paper and pen. Absolutely. And, you know, and I really appreciate the fact that, you know, you bring a perspective that most of us don't have. You know, most of us don't know what that is, you know, the type of environment, and, you know, the political environment and all that stuff. So I really appreciate you coming in and sharing this stuff, because honestly, you know, it's sort of like, you know, hearing something firsthand, as opposed to having it being filtered through. And, you know, I really appreciate the fact that, you know, you share what it is that you're going through, from, you know, what it is that you're seeing. Oh, Nurse Taz, I just noticed your message, and oh, sweetie. Okay. Hold on. Where? Okay, be right back. Hold on. Okay. Nurse Taz. This is a candle that I'm lighting, and I chose a green one because to me that represents life and earth and you know, and healing. And so I'm going to light this candle for your patient, and you know, seeing in the message, and I'm sorry. And this candle will burn both for your patient and for their family, and even that the doctors learn to be better. And that is my prayer for you. I'm sorry, I just saw the message that you sent, and we can still light a light, and that lovely person, you know, may whatever their process that they go through be as gentle, pain-free, and without fear as possible. And I know that you're holding that wonderful space, so that candle is also for you, sweetie. Blessings. Okay, and of course my opinion is quite political, placed from my perspective, so don't take it 100% from me, sweetie. But that's exactly what I want to hear, is your perspective, because you see it. And yes, everybody has that point, but the thing is that hearing your perspective is, you know, really, really very important, and I appreciate it. I'm going to try to open up a little bit here. I always thought it was impossible for me to get over the death of my best friend's brother, and the pain I felt was so much every day. I just wanted to lose myself in my anger. I just wanted to disappear. My heart is broken. My soul is lost. I still feel the pain, but I'm not angry much anymore. Oh, Steve. First off, I am so sorry for that loss. And I am so proud of you for, you know, coming in and sharing that. Thank you so much. I mean, it really, honestly, it really honors me to, you know, to have folks and folks, hey, go and you know, give Survival Steve some love. And okay, we'll do a shout out, but you know, we're gonna get into this place with Steve, and you know, who is an amazing streamer, who is an amazing man. Don't you know, it's too late, but you know, it's too late, sorry, but you missed me eating red hot peppers or pepper beans, so we can catch on that later. But you know, it is so powerful what you're going through, and you know, and the fact that you're choosing to move through the process. You could have chosen to stay in your anger, but you didn't. And I can only imagine how hard. I mean, everybody's lost people, but no one has lost the person that you lost as you. We can understand and have compassion for a loss, but nobody ever truly knows what somebody goes through in their heart. And seeing you share this, and I know there's a lot of people who are in a very similar place, and you sharing that is so healing for the people who thought that they were alone in it. And you know, I'm just so proud of you, and I admire you so much, and I, you know, you have my thought every single day, because you know, I know that there's a lot of stuff that you're going through, and the fact that, you know, we've become friends, and you know, you sharing that, you know, is just so special to me. And you're special, and you know, I really admire you for what, you know, what you are moving through, because I mean, it's just hard. And you know, as I say, life is fun till it isn't, and it sucks till it doesn't, and that sucks. Grief isn't where we get stuck if we don't let it. grief is the way out, but it still sucks. It's hard. And all anybody can do is manage it in the best way we possibly can. And you've been managing this in the best way that you possibly could. And I'm really proud of you for that. And, you know, just know that wherever you are in that process, whatever you're going through, hey, you are always, you know, you're always welcome. You know, I spent more than a year in just anger, hating everyone and not caring about nothing. Yeah. And, you know, it's just so hard. And it's weird because once you get used to feeling a particular way, it's so easy to stay in it. Whether it's sadness, whether it's anger, you know, once it's almost like it becomes muscle memory. It becomes reflex. And it takes choice to choose to leave that. And there is no calendar on dealing with grief. There's no time limit. There's no, well, you know, you should be over it by now. That is probably one of the dumbest phrases that I have ever heard, ever. You know, it's just that idea that for some reason that there's a certain amount of time, and by the time that, you know, it's like, well, a month, 2 months, 3 months. Well, aren't you over this? You know what? To heck with you. You know, I don't have to be over anything until I'm ready to be over it, until I'm ready to move through it. And, you know, the worst thing I think that you can do to, you know, to delay somebody moving through it is to try to rush them. Well, you need to move on. It's like, you know what? You need to move on. As in, move on out of my space until you learn how to talk to people. And, you know, and often that comes from people who want to help, but they don't know how. They don't have the tools. So they just want you to stop feeling what you're feeling so that they can feel okay. And I mean, I get it. And it still sucks. And every person has to go through what they need to go through and take the time. You know, if it was more than a year with you in anger, then that was the time you needed. And that was the time you deserved. And, you know, and however long this next phase takes, that's the time you need. And it doesn't matter, you know, whether or not, you know, whoever says, well, you know, you need to, you know, anytime anybody says something and it starts with like, well, what you need to do is, yeah, what I need to do right now is to walk away because I don't want to hear whatever it is that you're going to say next. Because all that is projection. It's, well, this is what would work for me, so it would work for you. No. Oh, Exo Llama Mama. Hello, sweetie. How are you? I'm so happy you're here. We are, you know, we're in a moment, and thank you, you know. Ha ha ha. You can just call me Llama. Hey, Llama. You know, there was an old Monty Python thing where it's like, you know, they were talking about llamas. But, you know, it is, you know, just wherever you need to be, Steve, don't ever let anybody take you out of the space that you need to be in, because this is your healing. And this is the process that is right for you. And, you know, it is really amazing to see how far you have come. And sometimes, you know, we have to think about, you know, how far we've come and what we've been through, because everything that you went through, Steve, it helped you in some way. It allowed you to be authentic. And the more authentic you are with yourself, you know, those are gifts that are going to help frame the person that you want to be, you know. And so, you know, you hang in there and, you know that here for you, and there's a lot of people who are here for you. My brother died in 2016. Oh, I'm so sorry, Osteria. His testament got good phrase, time for sorrow, time for celebration, and give time for life ones. I'm too busy. He was a man who lived, smile on his face, and laughed at his own problems, and we buried him with a bottle of vodka. Awesome. And I'm so sorry, Osteria. I am. You know, I lost my older brother 2 years ago. It was January of 2020. And, you know, and in an accident that's so sudden. And I'm so sorry. And, you know, I can almost picture, you know, the smile. And, you know, it's like when somebody like that leaves our life, when somebody who has a way of making people feel safe leaves our lives, it's like this big hole that happens, and we don't know how to fill it, and it's hard. And the more that we're able to be our real selves, the more we don't have to feel like, you know, well, okay, it's been this long, I've got to do this, I've got to move on. It's like, you know what, you can move on, and you can, you know, you don't have to say, oh, well, I have to cut off what I feel. You know, I was speaking with someone, you know, the lady who I went to visit, or the couple who I went to visit, who lost their house in a huge fire that was here in California, the Paradise Campfire, and it was like, it basically took out an entire town, and their home was lost. And they have a beautiful home that was rebuilt. And she said that she thought that when the house was built and she moved in, that she would stop grieving the loss of her old house, but it didn't happen. And she had a very hard time with that. And so, you know, it's, you know, she, in one way she moved on because she had a new house, but in another way, the spirit of the old house was still there, and she couldn't stop thinking about it. So we had to spend some time together over that. Everyone who was close to my brother, we turned how he died into a joke, because he died having a big heart. So we started saying he loved everybody too much. Yeah, my ex-father-in-law, or my ex-husband's father, he had an enlarged heart, and that he passed from that. And yeah, you know, that he was, you know, we heard it's like, well, he was just too big-hearted. And sometimes it helps, whether it's creating, you know, kind of a little joke about it, or burying someone with a bottle of vodka, you know, to bring that humanity into whatever it is. You know, grief can have sort of a humor about it, or sort of a, you know what, we'll remember him this way. When I was young, a dear friend of mine, she had moved across the country, and unfortunately she was killed in a car accident. She was hit by a drunk driver, or her car was. And so they were bringing her body back to California for burial, because, you know, all her family was out here. Well, they put her casket on the wrong plane. And so when the plane arrived, and, you know, and everybody was there, it was like, well, where is she? And they said, well, we're sorry. And it's like, what do you mean? She wasn't luggage. Where would, you know? And so I was sitting there, and I couldn't help but say, you know, she never could make it to anywhere the first time, because one thing that we knew about her was she always got lost. No matter how good of instruction she gave her, she always got lost wherever she was going. And the fact that her casket would end up on the wrong plane, and, you know, so it was like, and when I said it, at first I felt bad because I said it out loud, because her mom was standing next to me. And her mom looked at me, and then she kind of smiled, and she started to laugh, and the other people there started to laugh, because we all knew it was true. But, you know, those moments of humor can come in. For me, sorrow was not too long because I knew he died happy, but it took time to get used to it, that he was no more. Yeah. Last time I got a strange feeling about that was when half family and half family friends visited our family cottage, and there was that one chair that was empty where he sits always. I sat sometimes looking at that chair there drunk. Yeah. You know, it's funny how the little things that remind us of someone, the little, you know, that and it could be, you know, for me for a while it was, I would see a movie advertised and I think, oh, my mom would love to go see that movie, and then I think, no, she's not here. And or, you know, yes, definitely humor helps, you know. And you know, being able to just honor, and some people have a hard time with that, and it's like they try to, it's like, well, you shouldn't joke, you shouldn't joke, you shouldn't. And it's like, you know what, I bet the person who passed would appreciate it. I knew my friend would probably think that was very funny, and I could almost feel her kind of giggling about it. But yeah, I mean, you know, everybody goes through, you know, those phases of grief in different ways. And sometimes we do spend a lot of time in one particular thing. You know, I think that there should actually be 6 phases. There's 5 stages of grief, which is denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. I think that there should be a 6th stage, which is humor, which is, you know, the joking about something that, you know, where you find that little humorous piece about it. I think that humor should be in there somewhere, because I do think that's a part of the healing. I still think sometimes I can still see him every now and then. Yeah, and you might be. You know, one of the things about me is that I am a medicine woman. And I have done a lot of indigenous work. I've done a lot of different types of spiritual works, because from childhood I've seen ghosts. I've seen spirits. And I know that they're there. I know that they come back. I know because after my sister passed, it was sometime after my sister passed, and it was a few months, and I was very angry because, you know, I felt a lot of pressure because I was helping take care of my mom. I was taking care of her kids. And yeah, I was having a moment where I felt a lot of pressure and taking care of my own kids, taking care of my mother-in-law. And I was kind of mad at her for dying. And I knew it wasn't her choice consciously, but there was a part of me that was mad. And she showed up to me. And it was in a dream, but it wasn't a dream. And so I talked to her, and she told me that my mother had breast cancer and that in 3 days she would tell me. And she said, I want you to remember one thing. It's going to get bad, but remember, first she's going to be okay with you, then she's going to be okay with me. And 3 days later, my mother told me she had breast cancer. So yeah, I do know that. Let's see, my grandpa passed in October 2020. Humor really helps. I've seen many little signs and messages from him since he passed, particularly in dreams. And Survival Stephen, I believe in ghosts and demons. Yep. I mean, you know, we are energy. And, you know, we are clouds of subatomic particles. And the thing is, energy is neither created nor destroyed. It simply changes form. And I have had way too many family members come back and talk to me. I've known of family members who have come back and talked to other family members. When, you know, my dad passed away many years ago, and when his mother was in the hospital and she started saying that, you know, that my dad was visiting her and talking to her and saying she was going to be fine, and that, you know, and everybody thought she was crazy. And because she was being released from the hospital. They said she was okay. She came through the surgery great, and she was going home, and she was sitting on the bed, and she kept saying, well, no, you know, Albert told me that I would be okay with him, and he tells me all about how wonderful it's going to be. And they went back, and let's see, well, we're going to whatever that is, we allow it. Okay. The auto thing caught something, so, you know, it's okay. But anyway, you know, and she was sitting on the bed. They were taking their flowers down, and they were coming back to get her. And when they went back up, she was laying sideways very peacefully on the bed, and she was gone. And, you know, my aunt had said, she said she told us that Albert had come back, that Albert had been talking to her, telling her not to be afraid. And as she was laying there and she was gone, she was smiling. So, yeah, you know, I like to meet his friends time to time and love when they call me by my calling name, what only he has his friends use. And the calling name was Kusainata. It means Bismarck, quite Finnish calling name for sure. Oh, okay. You know, that's interesting, a calling name. That is, I'm not sure what that, you know, could you explain what a calling name is? I'm interested in that term. And, you know, is it like a name like between friends, or that's interesting, the term calling name. But anyway, you know, so yeah, I know that it's not a, you know, one-way trip never to come back. And I do believe that those who love us, that love continues, and that they can be there for us to encourage us and to help us and to add their strength to ours at times. And it doesn't mean that we don't miss them. It doesn't mean that, you know, we don't grieve. But nickname, maybe. Yeah. Well, how you take it is like a nickname. Yeah, here every group usually gives people their own calling name. It can be bad or good. Oh, okay. So yeah, it is like a nickname. That is so sweet. I like that. You know, it's I guess we all end up with nicknames, and you know, because names can be very powerful. Names can be, you know, I actually chose, you know, I'm Dr. Ayleen, but I wasn't born Ayleen. My name was Arlene. And my dad always called me Ayleen. My dad wanted to name me Ayleen. And my mom got to the paperwork first. So she put down Arlene, named me after her favorite actress, Arlene Dahl, who was from a long time ago. And so in protest, my father always called me Ayleen, and I actually preferred Ayleen. Well, when my marriage ended, and shortly after my marriage ended, I had a scare with breast cancer. I had a mammogram that came up positive. And after losing my mother and my sister to breast cancer, it was a very scary time. And so when I got contacted and told that it was benign, that I was going to be okay, in that moment I chose two things. I said, first, I'm going back to my maiden name. And second, I'm going to have the name I always wanted. And I chose the spelling. But there's a lot of, you know, and there are a lot of people who have nicknames for me, and, you know, they're very loving, and, you know, some are a little bit teasing. But there is a lot about choosing a name. And, you know, and nicknames, I think nicknames can actually be very cool, because it can give us that sense of, you know, that, you know, we've got that extra closeness. You know, it's so funny because I get to know people through their Twitch name. And the person who, you know, Narrow-Minded Gaming, who was my patient prior to, you know, he was the one who talked me into going on Twitch. And yet now I'm so used to calling him Narrow that even if I see him, you know, offline, I have a hard time calling him by his name. So it is, you know, it's interesting to be able to, you know, kind of have that choice in it, how we walk in the world, what we're called by. And, you know, and I didn't get upset, because I've got a lot of older relatives, and whatever they chose to call me, it's like, you know what, you know, you know, and oh, well, because my older relatives call me Leanie, because, you know, my name was Arlene. My siblings used to call me Nini, so my nieces and nephews called me Aunt Nini. So, you know, when I changed my name and I talked to my sons and I said, well, do you guys have any issue with me changing my name? And they said, well, we call you Mom, so it really doesn't affect us at all. I used to love with it, even it would hurt us once in a while, or would say our names when we are in a bad spot, so we would stop paying attention. One time I heard my name when I was feeling one of the biggest birds that could have taken off my finger with one bite, but when I heard my name, I took my finger out and the bird tried to attack me. Ah! Yep. You know, when smart answer. Yeah, you know, there's power in names. Here, calling people nickname is for family and my friends who are comfortable with you. First name is for people who are not so comfortable yet use nickname. And last name is like official calling for people who just know your name. Or we can call someone by the last name for offense too, like we don't respect someone. We just use their last name. And Steve, my wife calls me. Well, I'm sure she doesn't call you that all the time, or she means it in a very loving way. And yeah, Osteria, that is interesting because, you know, you have those closer relationships, and in many cultures around the world, it's like, depending on your relationship with somebody, it's how you would refer to them. You know, when I was living in the South, you would always call anyone older than you, even if they were like just a year older than you, you would say Miss or Mr. with their first name. And growing up, it was like, you don't call an adult by their first name. But in the South, it was traditional where, you know, it was like, you know, she does mean it in a loving way, but she calls you at any time. Sometimes I think it's my real name. Yeah, you know, after you hear something over and over again, you just start answering to it. But yeah, you know, it was like, oh, you know, at that time, that was when I was still, my first name was still Arlene. And everybody called me Miss Arlene. And even like teachers who were younger than me called me Miss Arlene. And so it was that sign of respect where, you know, I had grown up, it's like, no, you always use an adult's last name because it's disrespectful to call an adult by their first name. So it really depends a lot on where you're at and you know how your culture works, and you know, I mean, and yeah, you know, that whole calling people by their last name, you know, it's my sons, you know, would have friends, and one of their friends, you know, they would always call him by his last name, but I would call him by his first name. At one point I asked him, I said, well, would you rather I call you by your last name? And he said no, because he said, you know, when you call me by my first name, it makes me feel like I'm a part of the family. And I thought, cool, okay. You know, here we have way to speak to people who are older or just respected by other reasons, but it's too hard for me to explain because of our language works differently. Yeah. And then comes the dialect difference where Mr. and Mrs. words can be insulting in other provinces. Really? That is so fascinating. I mean, you know, and just that whole how we communicate with each other. And, you know, where it would be like, and it is sort of that thing where, you know, you go someplace and you're doing something that's normal for your culture, and yet there it might be considered an offense. When I went to Africa, I was told you never touch a child, like, you know, you pat a child on the head, that you never touch a child on the top of the head because it's considered demeaning. And it was like, wow, you know, and so if I'm going somewhere, I always make sure that I ask questions like, okay, what could I accidentally do that could be offensive? So please let me know what the proper way is. What I think is funny is that my wife and I have a joke between us too, that if someone else was to hear it, all the way yelled at or threatened. Yeah, I mean, you know, and that's the thing, you know, when you have that relationship that is like, you know, that banter that, you know, because it's like, oh my God, they're arguing, or oh my God, they hate each other. It's like, no, that's just how they communicate. That's a communication thing. And, you know, if somebody else is like, well, I don't like the way that they're talking to you, it's like, then don't listen. You know, it's our joke. It's our joke, not your joke. It's our joke. So she goes, but we mean it, yeah. You know, it was like, you know, my parents would occasionally joke. My dad would, you know, because he said that he asked my mother to marry him 13 times. And it was on the 13th time that she said yes. And I mean, there's a whole story about my parents because they never dated before they got married, and it ended up being an alcohol-fueled joke that ended up going way too far, and that's why I'm here. But, you know, they would make comments like, you know, he goes, yep, I know 13 is an unlucky number because that was the time that she said yes. And, you know, my dad, you know, my mom would, you know, they'd banter back and forth. And, you know, my dad once said, he goes, well, if Aretha Franklin ever shows up, I'm out of here. And my mom would look at him and say, if Paul Newman ever shows up, you're right. But, you know, it is, different people have different relationships, and they have different jokes that, you know, go with it. It's sort of like, you know, when somebody makes a joke, you know, in a sad situation because they knew that person and that was a joke that applied to them. And other people, it's like, oh my gosh, you're joking, you know, and it's supposed to be sad. It's like, you know, it's just what you do. It's that relationship, and I think it's honoring the relationship. OMFG, lol. You know, and, you know, when my dad passed, you know, my mom said, I lost my best friend. And, you know, they, like I said, they did not go on one date before they got married. And it was a practical joke that went too far, and they ended up married, but they ended up best friends. And they became friends before anything else. Yeah, cultural differences are quite big for sure. Biggest problem I faced was when I worked security guard and we had Syrian refugee to arrest with police, and he put 110% against us when we tried to put him against a wall, and he even started to cry and yell. And afterwards, my one refugee friend told us that it meant that they will be executed when facing the wall, so no wonder he put up such a big resistance when there was 2 security guards and 2 police with guns. Oh my gosh. Wow. That is like, wow. Thank you so much for sharing that. Because really, it's like, you know, it's like, why is this such a big deal? Why are you, you know, and when you've got somebody who has that in their head, oh, wow. That is powerful. Share what you know. Share what you know. Good to see you. Would you rather have an Earth Roamer, 15, or a marathon coach? Oh, what are those? I don't know what those are. I told my wife right to her face, if I ever met Dove Karen, I would do things to her that she would wish I would to her. She said, good luck. I remember when, you know, I had married into a Sicilian family. And so it was like, you know, and very, very traditionally Sicilian. And there were couples who had been married over 75 years. And one of the uncles was being kind of, shall we say, a little flirty with me. And I mean, he had had some wine and stuff like that. And so, you know, his wife is standing there. And so after a while, I go up to her. It's like, you know, I'm really kind of embarrassed about that. And she goes, why? And, you know, and I said, well, I mean, you know, you standing there. She said, look, after all the years we've been married, I know he's like a dog chasing a car. He couldn't drive it if he caught it. She said, you're a lovely young woman. And of course, you know, he's going to appreciate a beautiful woman. And I know where he goes tonight. So he talks a lot. It's okay. But it was like, oh, okay. Yeah. But yeah, share what you know. I'm not sure what those things are. So please let me know. And, oh, wow, we've gone way long. But, you know, it's, you know, jokes inside of relationships and things that people say often can be misinterpreted by other people. And the thing is, it's like, and whose business is it but that couple's about, you know, if it's not bothering her, then, you know, I shouldn't be offended on her part. And if it does bother her, then that's up to her to say something or up to him to say something. But, you know, I would guess when you've been with somebody over 75 years, pretty much you've got the system down. And, you know, one couple who had been married 80 years were saying that, you know, and I mean, these people were like, there were several members of his family that reached triple digits. So one of the great aunts told me, she goes, you know, and I said, well, you know, what's your best advice for marriage? And she goes, well, figure that it'll only be rocky for the first 75 years. After that, it's a coast. It's like, well, okay. But I'm going to drop a lurk, though. I'm a bit late, lol. Oh, mwah. You drop a lurk. We're probably going to be tying it up here in a couple of minutes anyway. But thank you. Thank you for coming in. You go do you. Have fun. Hang in there, Steve. And, you know, and please know that, you know, my heart's with you. And, you know, you do you. And it's always so wonderful to have you come in. And, you know, it is about choosing and the choices we make and how we choose to walk in this world and how we choose to be ourselves no matter what somebody else says, and to trust in who we are and to speak our truth and to share and, you know, and all of that stuff, which is very, very cool. So I wish you amazing choices, and my choice to eat Bean Boozled beans. Oh, before I leave, okay. For those of you who are involved in the drawings, so we have the new, you know, and for those of you who don't know about it, every 3 months we spin a wheel and people's names for 4,000 channel points. You get your name on the wheel. So what is this time is this. It is a kit that has a keyboard, a mouse, a headset, and a mouse pad. I am going to be letting somebody win this, and the drawing will be July 1st. And like I said, for 4,000 channel points, you get your name in the drawing. And for those who, if by the end of the month, which is why I usually like to let people know a month in advance. So if by the end of the month you don't have enough channel points, that's okay, because there'll be another giveaway 3 months later. But I do like to, you know, do stuff and give people a chance to win stuff. So if you are watching this video later, you know, check into one of my streams. I stream Monday through Friday, just regular, you know, just talking. On Saturdays we stream a game, and you know, so if you're hanging out in the loving lurkers lounge, thank you, and make sure that, you know, you build up those channel points. And also for June, if I get bits, I have one of these. If I, you know, which is the Bean Boozled Fiery Challenge, I had 2 today. If for a follow, I'll eat 2, and for a sub, I'll eat 3. And it is, I had 2, and that was an experience. I mean, I'm not shy with spice, but they kind of take it to a whole new level. So start making names who need that. I could give a little more tickets now for someone who really needs it. Well, and thank you for bringing that up, Wisteria. If you have points but you don't want it, then what you can do is you can buy a slot, and you can tell me whose name you'd like to put on it, and so you can buy a slot for somebody else. So that is also very cool. So let us see. Oh my gosh, we have streaming right now. We've got Gaming with Kentucky and JD, who's streaming. He's streaming Fortnite. Maybe one of the kids are playing. Oh, much love. Oh, we are definitely going to be raiding my buddy, who is also a part of the Nameless family, who is, you know, the Nameless family. They're an amazing group, and they are just so, see, this is me trying to do 2 things at once. They're so sweet, they're so kind, and, okay, let me, Kentu. See, I always have to make sure that I actually have it spelled right, because otherwise, Kentu. All right. Heck, Ian, JD. Okay. So we make sure that we have it correct. Yes, we make sure we have it correct. And so if you can come along with us on the raid, that would be awesome. If you can't and you're getting on with your day, then have an absolutely wonderful one. And I hope that everything, okay, take care, be safe, and as always, have a good day. Mwah! Have a good day to you too, Asteria. And much love, dear friend, much love right back. And, you know, hey, we keep the candle burning. And for everybody. And just please remember how awesome you are. Remember that you have choice. And absolutely remember that you are the only you in all of the universe. The only you that has ever been and the only you that will ever be. And what that does is it makes you special, it makes you sacred, and most of all, it makes you necessary. Because as the only you in all the universe wouldn't be the same or complete without you. So, like I said, either come along, have a wonderful day, and as always, I wish you balance and I wish you blessings from my heart to yours. And as I told my sons when they went to school, have a good day, learn something new, I'm proud of you, and I love you. Alrighty, see you next time. Everybody, have a wonderful day. And we are going to go do a raid. And until tomorrow, bye.